Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting of Monday, August the 9th. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and as you see, we're missing a few of our board members tonight. Mr. Farnsworth is a little under the weather, but I have him on the phone, and he has a part on the agenda that he will be presenting, and he's listening in, and he will be participating. Mr. Mitchum is on vacation, so I'm going to begin with, I need a approval of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Second made by Ms. Wimberly. Any discussion? All in favor? We've got 5 and 2 absent. 1 on the phone, 1 absent. Okay, if we could just take a moment for a moment of reflection. Thank you very much. If we'd all stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next on our agenda is our school highlights. Ms. Rayner.
Thank you, Chairman Hughes, members of the board, Mr. Pye. Well, the 2021-2022 school year, it's here. And so we want to start tonight's meeting joining with the school boards across the state of South Carolina. The South Carolina School Boards Association every year ask boards to join in a theme. This year's theme is Welcome Back Students and Staff. So I'm going to ask the board members that are here tonight for a little photo op to hold the sign, and I will send the photograph to the South Carolina School Boards Association, where they're going to post all school boards holding these signs to start the year on a positive note, and as Mr. Pye likes to say in our district, back to normal with caution. So if I can ask you all to just stand real quickly, and we'll snap a picture, and we'll put this on the district website as well.
She's hiding me.
No.
How about that? Evan, that chair all the way, Evan. Not with you. There we go.
Well, Dorchester District 2 has achieved another outstanding honor and recognition. Amy Baldwin, Amy Baldwin, who you may remember is one of our wonderful teachers at Oakbrook Middle School, and not that very long ago, she was recognized at this very meeting for being named the South Carolina 2021 STEM Educator of the Year, which just was such an outstanding achievement. We all know is so very well deserved what she has done with the STEM program, not within her school community, but the whole district and as a state leader. Well, she's not through. On Thursday, we received notification from the Project Lead the Way, the national organization that does spearhead engineering, instruction, education, which is, of course, as we all know, a major part of STEM education. Well, they informed us that Ms. Baldwin is one of 79 educators throughout the nation that has been named an Outstanding Teacher of the Year for 2021-22. So we're so proud. So not only is she a leader locally, regionally in our state, but in the nation as well. And there's a little caveat to this. Now Ms. Baldwin will be a part of the 79 other educators who is vying for the National STEM Educator of the Year. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But Amy?
I just like to hang out with Pat Rayner, so that's why I'm here. All right.
Thank you so much. Could you go stand
I was going to
up
say,
there
you need
and
me to go
get
stand.
How are you guys?
Good. Congratulations. Everybody stand up. That we can all- everybody
This is
stand up.
exciting.
Stand up.
And I know we'll be hearing more and more about Amy, and I think one of the things that has made her stand out so dramatically in STEM education is her advocacy for female participation in our engineering programs, and has been hugely successful in those efforts. So thank you, Amy. And I would like a point of personal privilege, Ms. Hughes, if I can. I know this isn't on the agenda, but this is kind of late-breaking news. We wanted to take a moment. Mr. Pye asked that I take a moment this evening real quickly to acknowledge one of our former students, a graduate of Dorchester High School, who took the stage in the Tokyo Olympics during the recent Olympics. And that, of course, is Jasmine Kamiko Quinn, who won gold on August the 1st in the women's 100-meter hurdle event. And we could not be prouder, of course. And I think what is so outstanding, not only her contribution on the national stage, is what her family, her parents, as well as her brother, Robert Quinn, who played football, you maybe heard of him, at Fort Dorchester High School, who now plays for the Chicago Bears. But her whole family has contributed so much to our school district and our community. So we have written a letter on behalf of the district and the school board to her and her family, congratulating them and thanking them for being a part of our community. So congratulations to our Olympian. We're very proud of, she's a champion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pat, and thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it, because that is something really big, and we just don't have that happen every day. So, so we're really, really proud to know her and to know that she is one of our own. So, thank you. Next on the agenda, before I go any further, if there's anyone here that came for the highlights that would like to scoot out, you're welcome to do so at this time. If not, we'd love to have you. But if you have something else pressing you have to do, then that's fine. Okay, next on the agenda is public comments on agenda items. And I am going to read over our public comment procedures, if I may. In order to conduct the meeting in an orderly and efficient manner, we ask that you honor the following guidelines. Public comments are welcome and encouraged. However, the board will not take immediate action or respond to public comments at this meeting. Any person wishing to address the board must submit the comment card 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Comments must be regarding programs, policies, or procedures. No specific names are to be used in comments. Comments regarding an employee or student will not be heard in public session. Groups addressing the same topic should select one speaker. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. The board chair reserves the right to allot additional time or halt public comments that do not adhere to the guidelines. So first up is Nicole McCullers. I hope I didn't do too bad on pronouncing that name, but
When my family moved to South Carolina a few years ago, we told our realtor that we specifically wanted to be in the DD2 school zone. This district had earned great ratings and reviews. Our district has many amazing staff members, from the bus drivers to the janitors, to the teachers and the principals, who keep their personal and social political ideas separate from their work. However, our school district's vague policies, lack of transparency, and its social emotional learning curriculum does not inspire the trust of many parents. I don't want to second guess everything the teacher is doing in her own classroom, but I also don't want to send my kids to school and have someone contradicting our family's personal values, morals, and beliefs. This is a good school district, but we need some serious changes. The IG policy under review focuses on providing excellence in academics and career readiness for all students, which is fantastic, and I support finalizing it tonight. But if we are being completely honest, this policy doesn't affect the actual changes. We need to build on this policy by naming specific content that will be banned from being taught in our schools. Since CRT is already in our SEL curriculum, there would be no disciplinary action for anyone that chooses to teach it after the state proviso expires. Therefore, I recommend we include wording from the state proviso into our DD2 school rules and policies. This will give families the peace of mind that any specific portions of the curriculum that include critical race ideologies will not be taught in our DD2 schools. Our vision statement is to be recognized as a world-class school district. But the only way we can make this a reality is to take the leap of making bold policies, even if that means rejecting certain federal funds, in order to become the best of the best in public education. We need to set the precedents that schools are for education and not indoctrination. I sincerely thank this school board for getting the IG and ADD policies in place before this school year starts. These are great first steps, but we have a long journey ahead of us. Social and political ideologies have infested our education system across the country for years, so it's going to take time to weed it out, but we need to weed it out. Because I assure you, myself and many other citizens are not going to relent until we feel like our kids are safe physically, mentally, and spiritually while at your educational facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Christy Calabera.
I wanted to go over some instructional goals or education philosophy, and I would hope that you'd respond in writing to my questions. I need to know who decides on what philosophy is taught in the classroom. Obviously, there's about 5 or 6 different ones. Progressivism is my least favorite, but it seems to be the one that dominates today's world. I would be good to know how you figure out what each teacher's doing. Do you have a syllabus that you get from each teacher? Do they present that and get it approved on the topics that they're going to teach and the books they're going to be working with the students on? That's imperative in this, because I feel like a lot of the children are reading books that are inappropriate, especially for their age. So I have a book that I'm going to read from. It's not a very large portion of it, but I think it'll drive my point across. This is a book that's approved through DD2 and it is used in 7th grade level reading. Okay, it is called The Giver. And many people have told me they've seen the movie, all kinds of take-backs from it, but I'm just going to read this little part to you. When twins are born in this Orwellian death-obsessed society, one must be released. A set of male twins is brought in and weighed. When the nurturer, Jonas's father, determines that one twin weighs more than the other, he takes out a syringe and a small bottle, fills the syringe, and to Jonas's surprise, begins very carefully to direct the needle into a vein in the new child's forehead. puncturing the place where the fragile skin pulsed. He pushed the plunger slowly, injecting the liquid into the scalp vein until the syringe was empty. The new child squirmed and wailed faintly. Then, the new child, no longer crying, moved his arms and legs in a jerking motion, and then he went limp. The little twin lay motionless. Jonas thinks he killed it. My father killed it. Then he watches as the father picks up a carton from the floor and lifts the limp body into it. Jonas sees his father open the door in the wall, load the carton containing the body into his chute, and gave it a shove. Trash. Bye-bye, little guy, says his father. That's approved 7th grade reading. The kids are 12 years old, and that's what they're reading in your school district. So I would like to know how that even happens. How does that get approved? That's one of many books that are completely inappropriate. And I would like to find out how these books even get into our school district. Who approves these books? Where's the list? Where do these teachers get these lists from? They obviously have something they choose from, and what type of teacher would do that? I don't understand where that would ever be acceptable. I don't think any of you would want your kids reading that. I have twins. Okay, that's the last thing I want them thinking. So when we think about the kids that are committing suicide, and we think about depression, and we think about inferiority, they could be coming from the books we're teaching them in elementary school, junior high, and high school. So I would like answers to those questions in writing, if you will, so we can get to the bottom of it and have solutions presented for these teachers, children, and parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is Sandy Rosansky.
I think it would be great to know, well, not that I think, parents need to know before the kids go back to school on the 16th, with the Delta variant coming out, and what is DD2's position on COVID testing for the children? Will it be routine testing? Will it be individualized? Will the parents get to know before the kids are tested? That's my question.
Thank you very much. Okay, board members, in your packets, you should have received the meeting minutes for the regular meeting of July 26th. If everyone's okay with that, we can do that now. Okay, all right. Barbara's going to make the motion, and Ms. Robinson second. Any discussion? All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. Next on the agenda is our superintendent's report, the state of the district. Mr. Pye. Okay.
But I guess they can see there and they can see there. You can follow everything that I'm saying on the screen. Hopefully everything will be up there, and I'll be doing some explaining, and I'll be doing some skipping around because we don't want to spend 40 minutes on all the things that we have done. But I think it's time. We've had a very rough year last year. We were not in school that awesome amount of days over the last 16 months. And as we begin a new year, we'll have a new set of goals. And I don't want to introduce new goals if we've not addressed these, because some of these are pre-goals for the ones we're going to be doing this year. We do the exploration, the looking at things, and then this coming year, hopefully it'll be implemented. And I think you heard one of those earlier in the workshop about the 4-year-old kindergarten class. That was one of our goals, is explore the options that we have, and we'll be announcing our new ones and within the next month that we have secured that, and we'll be adding classes at every school. So that's just some of the examples how this goes. This probably doesn't look like the number we've had in the past, but keep in mind it's not the number you go by, it's the actual impact some of these areas had on us. We could have literally had 2 major goals this year, 2 major ones. Tremendous time spent on COVID-19 and the district's response to the various mandates, the various DHEC reports, the different medical journals and medical things that came out, all the studies, all the TV blitz ads, and I mean, pro and con. It was a lot of confusion out there. Of course, we are the recipients of the children that need to be educated, and we were asked to provide safety over education. And that's a hard thing for educators to do, but that's what we did. And we put it first, and then, again, it was, what we're going to do about the other part. And, of course, we're reading from that now, as are all school districts in the United States, to my knowledge. No matter how they handled it, it just was something that there was not a blueprint or a plan. It was an awesome way to do business. But going back to look at our vision and our mission, we want to be a world-class school district, as one of the parents just said, and we expect each student to achieve at his or her optimal level. But in order to do that, we have to make sure we provide all members of our district the resources and the environment that will permit them to do their personal best to reach the students. So that's, again, 2 different ways to approach it. We can't get to the kids till we go through the staff. They're very important for their training, their guidance, and that type of thing. And our mission, of course, is leading the way every day for every student, all students. This is the public school system, through relationships, relevance, and rigor. Then we have our core values, and this is what makes up our district. And you see, number 1 is students come first. We have to make decisions, and we tried to do that with the COVID piece. The second part of the big goal that I said could be goal number 2 was our technology. Thank goodness we embarked on the one-to-one, because little did we know how quick we would have to use it. And we'd already started 6 months before getting out of school in March of the previous year, getting training for our teachers, providing the training so they could do the teams and they could work with their students. And they were already doing some things in their classes that made it easier. So once we got the devices out, it made it so much better. We had ongoing training the entire time the students weren't here, and the teachers, even when they're in their homes, we were providing constant in-service as well as technology support to try to make that happen. So those were probably 2 areas that just took lots of our time. If we didn't do anything with those 2, that was pretty well 2-year-long type things. But we did it because we do have a passion for what we do. Whether we're judged to do it right, wrong, or indifferent, we love what we do, and we do what we feel is right for our children. We cannot make everybody happy. We prove that. Very sharply divided on issues. We try to keep in focus that, as one of the parents mentioned, the schoolhouse should be void of political views. And all this that went on with the mask and everything that's still going on, there's a lot of politics in that, unfortunately. And we're trying to keep that out of the schools. So it's not just in books and curriculum. It's just the way people live these days. They blame everything on the school system, and we get threatened. Every mandate that comes out of Columbia has a threat. It's not just the federal government. If you don't do this, you will lose your funding. That is quite a mandate, isn't it? It's really a threat. And it's really kind of, well, we're in a state that's not known to be number 1 in education. We could be if people would get their heads out of the sand and focus on the best needs of our children. Children in our state should have the same advantages as children in other states. There's no reason why not. It's been proven that the economy, which our governor and our legislature are so involved in improving the economy of South Carolina, you do that through education. Education is the gatekeeper for a strong economic environment. So let's look at the 3 major goal areas we did choose. We have a goal on curriculum and instruction. We have one on district management, and we have one on organizational climate, culture, and communications. That's the 3 major areas. The first one, curriculum and instruction, we will develop, implement, and monitor innovative curriculum which promotes personalized learning and continuous academic improvement while supporting our 21st century learners. And here's some of the things that led to that. We reopened our schools face-to-face as soon as we possibly could. That was an issue as we went from first time using e-learning, first time using hybrid learning, and first time having to ever go back to face with plexiglass and masks and other things in place. All this was new. It's not in any textbook. It's not in any video. There's nobody in the country that has done this before that could give us advice. We tried. They called us for advice, and I thought that was kind of ironical. I wanted to say, listen, if you knew what I knew, you wouldn't be calling me. You call another district that might have this together. We're still working on it. We developed for the first time a virtual academy, and I'm not a huge supporter of that. But overnight, we were forced to offer choice to our parents. We had 9,000 children. We went from 0 to 9,000 children in 1 year, overnight. People signed they would do this for a whole year, only to find out weeks later, we don't want this. It's not right for our children because virtual is not right for all children. Then the face-to-face, those saying we don't want to wait. Face-to-face is not coming fast enough, so let's put them in the virtual. So we said we would be year-long, but we did a lot of changes. And as you know, we opened the window up several times and said, now it's the second semester. We allow high school students to change courses. We will do this throughout the system, and we allowed people to make some changes that had been on lists waiting for a long time. So we tried to work with them. Well, that 9,000 is shrunk down to 670-something for next year. People are ready to do the face-to-face, even though they're very scared, and we get lots of questions about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And unfortunately, most of them are laced with, are you going to guarantee this? We can't guarantee anything. We've been told what it takes to keep your numbers low. We have done away with a lot of the things that helped us get there. And because they're gone, we have yet to see how that's going to affect our numbers when we all get back closer together without masks and other things. This remains to be seen. But we've put everything in place that we know to put in place to make it happen, as you heard early in the workshop. And I feel comfortable that if it can be done, we're doing it. But there's never a guarantee in this world, as people don't really understand that what might come of this virus. Mr. Crosby, you got a question? Or you just agree with me? Okay, I just saw you raise your hand. I thought you had a question. All right. We also offered, like I said, the different models at the different times, and we still have people wanting to know, why are we not going back to hybrid when we start school? I have not had anybody ask about e-learning. I think they know that they're going to have to drug me up. I hate to admit that publicly, but that's not going to happen easy with me here, because I was not a fan of that at all. I know it was meant for emergency. We're talking about a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. It was never intended to be for months, and certainly not for a year. So, but that's how it worked out for us. But I'm very proud of the partnership that we've now formed with the Education Consortium of Charleston, Berkeley, District 4, and Colleton counties and us, where we work together on various things. In the virtual academy, since we're not offering it in the lower grades, we're instead buying seats with the money that we have to buy the seats, and they're expensive, but that's much easier to do than us trying to offer the program, and it's being offered to all the counties. And some of our teachers are taking part in that, but it's not a District 2 model per se. We're supportive of it, and they're serving. We've got 114 kids in there. And so as you can see, we couldn't support a virtual academy for all 15 elementary schools with 114 kids. So that happened there. Next, we provided professional development resources to teachers. Let me tell you what, we've offered a lot of professional development. Our teachers have been trained in everything and anything. And if anybody wondered, well, my teacher's only teaching 2 hours a day in this full e-learning mess, what is she doing? Well, she's on the computer learning all these tricks of the trade that we're giving them so they can become more efficient. They can do 2 and 3 things at one time, multitask. It was a lot on our teachers. And so we provided last year over 1,500 workshops to teachers, parents, and students. We implemented the High School 101 course. Y'all remember that? And, of course, this was probably not the year to have implemented anything new because they weren't there long enough for us to really see how it registered. But we're excited that what we learned about it last year, we can tweak it, and this should be a banner year for our High School 101 course. And then we explored expanding full-day 4K program, and you can see our exploration did not end up as well. We looked at it and we gave up. It was so easy to give up, and there were people on my staff who did for various reasons to say, you know, we can't get the kids to sign up. They're only going to do 2 schools. Is that fair for the other 10? And I'm like, y'all, you don't turn away anything that could help us open the door, to crack the door. And as it turned out, we reapplied, and because there were so many questions about their rushed-up program, when they came around and made the changes they needed to, we qualified for 9, which allows us to look at what we have, and now we're able to offer full-day kindergarten in all 15 elementary schools. And we're in the process now of recruiting and getting those students signed up. And the reinvented summer programs, we've shared that with you. Thousands of students this summer were at various levels of remediation, acceleration, what have you. We had different programs trying to meet the needs of kids, getting them re-engaged back in the learning process. And then we maintained our partnership with the Low Country STEM Center. Ms. Baldwin, I'm glad to hear that she was recognized for that, because that's a long-time goal of mine as a former science teacher. I really realized that we need to do more in that area. That's probably the only thing we did not. We scratched that early on last year, not to add that position for a STEM coordinator or director because of that. And we could not afford, number one, to take any of our teachers out of the classroom. So I didn't want to even tempt anybody. Like Ms. Baldwin cannot leave Oak Brook Middle at this time for what she's doing. We're counting on her and so many of our other wonderful teachers. And so we'll explore that maybe again this year. But we had to put that on hold for another year. Continuing and now moving on to district management, we'll provide the personal, financial, and physical resources and services necessary to support the district core values and our vision of achievement for all students to succeed in a competitive global economy. We started that by creating a balanced budget for 21-22. We try to balance it, but we did this without requesting a tax increase. This was certainly not the year with so many of our people unemployed and all the things that were happening. That was the last thing we needed to do. So we were able to work beyond that, and thank goodness that the possibility of ESSER funding came to be. And so it worked out in our favor that we did the right thing. We utilized federal, the CARES, and ESSER, and state funding to support our safe return to schools. That was the number one priority. Now, ESSER 3 is for learning loss, is their primary focus, as well as the safety piece. But that was, safety was all about CARES and ESSER 1 and 2. We explored TIP opportunities with Dorchester County and the town of Somerville. We spent a lot of time with them, and that's kind of on the back burner now, but we were close to signing that agreement, and there's some hitch on their side, not on ours. We were moving forward. We developed and implemented a safe return to schools protocols to ensure safety of all of our students and our staff. So we had that ever since last July, I think it was July 21st to be exact. We voted and did our plan, our safety plan. We were very impressed with what we did. We tried to tweak it a couple of times as we got input. And sometimes you tweak it, the parents didn't like it, the teachers did. And that's when, like elementary, when we expanded the primary going every day for 2 hours instead of 2 days a week, we put 4th and 5th. That's what we heard they wanted to do. They wanted to see their children every day. We felt kids need to have exposure every day. But it also brought on child care problems and other issues. And so nothing was with a silver lining the way we had to try to work around it. But we proved that we could be flexible without throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We stuck to our plan to the very bitter end, even though I get an occasional email, and you do too, that we broke our promises. I don't know of any that I broke. I know people were aggravated we couldn't make more than we did, but again, we were dealing with a moving target every day, and no matter what we agreed in private we were aspiring to do, we were reluctant to make any promises that people said, but you told us in a board meeting you were going to do this. Y'all have done that to me. I've done it to myself. I think I might have said that. We don't want to give false hope. We don't want to be negative, but you don't put things out that you can't back up. Follow through is critical if you're going to keep trust and build relationships. We maintained a operational instructional staff at all schools to prevent the disruption in learning. So we maintained that. We did not cut back the fine arts. We did not cut back our clerical staffs. We did not cut back custodial. And of course, food service is outsourced, but we didn't do that. We kept a full cadre, and as we planned to do whatever we did with one group, we have a philosophy here we do with all groups. So we try to do the right thing for all of them. We expanded our administrative intern program to provide support for students and families at all elementary sites and develop future administrators, and that too was a big success. As we grew at some of the schools that required that, we had a lot of assistants to move up. They were promoted either in this district or another district. They got a promotion to be a principal. So the assistant principal jobs came open. We were able to use a lot of interns as trained people to go right in those positions. So we're glad we had that program. We also partnered with the Citadel to implement a leadership cohort training program for aspiring administrators. We're finding not only is there a shortage of teachers, there's a shortage of administrators. There's a shortage of everything that I know of. I don't know of anything in this district where I'll tell you we've got abundance of people. We're short custodial workers, we're short bus drivers, but those numbers are coming down. I'm proud to say as of this afternoon, we have 4 teacher openings in Dorchester 2. 4. We had 80 the last time you asked me about 6 weeks ago. We're down to 4, and I don't know of anybody in the state that says they have them all. So we're right there. Our personnel department's to be applauded with the principals. They have I sort of say audition. They probably did some auditioning too, but they interviewed on the weekends even. These people have worked around the clock not to lose somebody to another district or another sister school in the district. We're going to fill our staff. And so we feel good about the positions that we have open are just typically hard to find ones, mostly special needs teachers, and there's shortage all over the state. But we're like 2 of those 4 special needs, or maybe 3. So with that number, with another week to go, we have a couple of leads. We may end up being able to report to you by the next time we meet that maybe we're at 0. That's my goal. And we've been 0 every year. I can't remember how it turned out last year because we really were so disrupted it was hard to tell. And we just made everything fit because we could do 40 children in virtual where we couldn't exceed 30 in the classroom. So we were able to cover where we couldn't hire teachers. So that worked. This year we're trying to lower class sizes, so we not only need to replace the teachers, we need to hire more. And we have just cast our net far and wide. The district-wide one-to-one technology rollout, I can't tell you how important that was, how big that was. It gave us an edge. We were so dependent on it, and I'm telling you, I am not a person that thinks we should be dependent on it. Now that we're back to face-to-face, my personal philosophy that I'm working with our staff on is it's used to supplement the curriculum and the way we deliver instruction. It is not to be the full instruction unless that course that calls for that in that course. It's differentiated learning. The teacher can have students working on the computer doing a half-hour block while she's working with small groups. That's how you do it. It's like an aid in the classroom. It's not for busy work, and it's to replace workbooks and worksheets and things that we had in the past. We don't really need those. Everything we need is on. We can get it online. It needs to be controlled. It has to match the standards we include. And so what we do online at this point that I know, as far as I know of, we talked about it again this morning, is all district programs that I personally involved in picking, and we scrutinizing and looking, and ones we've used for a long time that have done well for us, like Read 180 and Math 180. Those programs have been just stellar, and they Read 180 is really the #1 intervention reading program in the world. So we are on any site you go to, and we were pleased not only do we use it with fidelity, and we have the scores to prove it. Also, along with that, we implemented a progressive teacher computer refresh program. All the teachers have new computers. Because when we gave the kids their computer, we realized the students' computers were more advanced than the teachers. We can't have that. So we did, it was time to refresh theirs, and we were able to work the deal with Dell and keep it all in the family and giving the teachers those extra, the camera and the extra things they needed to allow them to be better and more efficient teachers. We closed 111 computer labs across the district last year so we can have the additional classroom space. That's going to help us with the 4-year-old kindergarten. That's going to help us with the lower classroom sizes, the things that we're doing, interventions and all. We now have space, at least for right now. And we're going to utilize it as much as we can. And of course, we have a lot of portable units in great shape that we are rather not use, but we own them. They're there, sidewalks, canopies, and we're not taking them out for fear that as we may grow at a particular school site, and we may need some extra help there to get us through till a new school is built. All right, here comes some great partnerships. We opened the Aquatic Center. That was made part of our partnership with the City of North Charleston. This was the year of partnerships. We partnered with the City of North Charleston for the building of a new library. I was notified they already have begun doing the plans and all. We're involved in that. That was approved, and they're essentially ready for next school year, but I think that's having built, had over 28 building projects since I've been superintendent in different shapes and forms, not going to happen. But, of course, they don't deal with OSF, so you never can tell. Partnered with Dorchester County and the town of Somerville for the renovation and expansion of McKissick Field. Great endeavor there, and who would have dreamed that something like that would have happened, and we're very pleased with what they're trying to do there. We completed the new district officer. At least we will, hopefully we have final say on occupancy Monday. Our visit is this coming Monday, and we anticipate that we've met all the goals, and we should be ready to moving in later next week. Certainly the week after is our big move-in week, as we get the furniture completely put up and in and move, and it's just going to take a week probably to get us moved in, and so in 2 weeks I'm hoping we'll be there. And so we made that goal, but at the very end of the year, I mean, we didn't have a lot of time to spare there. And then we have already moved very quickly, like never before. We're getting our new school out of the ground over behind Beach Hill. I mean, we've done some miracles there. That's a real surprise. We ran into a couple little problems, but Thompson Turner and our architects have not allowed that to derail us. We're on line to have the school completed in July. Is it Don? I saw you out there. Are you here? Are we still in line for July? Which means I'm hoping for August, but let's hope that we get there. Again, I've not been surprised, but if we get a surprise, it will be with this group. They are so professional. They're just outstanding at every level, and the architect works so well with the construction company, and that's been a problem for us. We work well with either one of them. I can't get them to work well yet, but these two are wonderful. They come together for every meeting and every decision, and we make a group decision that we agree to. And if they say they're going to do it, I know sometimes they make decisions they probably shouldn't have made and regret it. They've stuck to it. They might have tried to approach us about, you think you might want to do a change order? No change orders. I'm not doing any. So, Ms. Hughes, they're going to have to come to you to sign a change order. I've already told them I will not sign any change orders. So I hope you got it right the first time. We're going with it, and we hope it turns out fine. Okay. Let's see what else is on here. Organizational climate, culture, and communications, the last one. We'll maintain a safe and nurturing environment which is conducive to learning and working, facilitates optimal student performance, and promotes communication while engaging our diverse community of learners. Explored and implemented parent and family engagement opportunities through the expansion of parent and family engagement centers. We added additional one, and we've also, with the program we're doing with 3-year-olds and stuff, we're trying to really make that a viable part of our program. It's part of the Title I funding, and it's just been incredible. We had only one, and it was struggling. Then we had 2, and it got a little better, and now we have 5 thriving ones. I think it's going to be fine.
Say,
Yeah.
people need to go visit that. It's amazing.
It is amazing what they're doing.
Yes.
All right. We partnered with Microsoft to offer virtual parent training sessions focused on the use of technology. So they're helping us there free of charge with that. And we redesigned district and school websites to improve communication. That's something you have to do constantly, but we think it's gotten better, and like everything that's been discussed tonight is on the website. It is current. I know, Ms. Hughes, you shared with me Greenville's back-to-school policy. I need you to go look on our website because much of what they had is what we delivered 2 weeks earlier in our workshop. That is our plan that Julie did tonight, Ms. Canaran's, was the plan we did in the last workshop. Now, we did focus in on a summary sheet of here's that's a lot of stuff to remember and why we did it, but here's what we will actually, what parents to expect that we're going to do, at least as of today. We're not making any changes at this point in time, but again, we have a governor, we have a legislative group of people, we have the federal government, we have so many people that in the State Department of Education that they tend to make quick decisions, and we've been told we have to figure it out. It's up to the school district to figure it out. So we still on standby with them. We developed and implemented the Safe Return to Schools plan and protocols to ensure the safety of all students and staff. We had that early in recommendations from the reopening of the school task force. We involved the community, and that was developed in June 2020. And we followed it pretty closely, monitored, and we adjusted it throughout, and based on ongoing and conflicting mandates and recommendations from state, federal, and health agencies. And some of you know parents would have known more about the confusion, but we were able to craft the letter to the parents. We were ready to send it when we get a call from the State Department or a memo, hold on what we said, there's been a change. So we're telling parents, you will wear a mask. Now we got, you won't wear a mask. Now it says we're going to ignore it, we're going to wear a mask. It went back and forth, and these people, like I said, hold you captive, and we did the best we could with them, and thank goodness at some point in time they did agree. Whether we agree or not, at least they were saying the same thing and not giving us mixed signals about who to support and not to support. We used the live stream here in the board for the first time. COVID helped us to finally come to that. Many districts have been using it for a long time. It's a great thing, as many people cannot get here for the meeting. You can go back on it any time. It's archived and be able to see what happened and look at that and maybe ask questions at another meeting. And then the superintendent's consortium that I talked about with the four districts, we now have 8 besides us, 9 of us that are now in. We have every 2 weeks we're sharing what we're doing with COVID protocols, how we're doing sports or how we're doing this, with all the stuff like we did prom, graduation, what are you doing, how is this done, why are you doing it, so we can make sure we had covered all our bases and them with us. And it's been a great resource to have the 9 of us, and that's Beaufort, Colleton, Charleston, Dorchester 2 and 4, Berkeley, Horry County, and Georgetown. Did I leave one out? I got them all. And we've just enjoyed those people. There's something. We do have 1 or 2 counties. We have one. I won't name them. They will tell me, we will not do this. So go ahead and put it in the bank. We're not doing this. And everybody agrees we're not going to do it. So we get our memo all ready to go out. In some cases, we've already sent it out. I'm watching the 5 o'clock news, and guess what? They're doing it. I'm like, what? I know I didn't hear this wrong, so I called Julie. What did they tell us this morning? They're not doing it. I said, well, did you see the news? Well, maybe not. You need to watch it at 11 o'clock and see if you didn't pick up, they've changed their mind. So that's the kind of stuff, even though we have good intentions, that keep you guessing. So the whole year was a guessing game, but I think our getting the right answer was far more prevalent than us not having the right answer, because most of them didn't have a right answer. It's first-time experience, and I'm one of those, a fool once, not a fool twice. So we learned a lot of lessons in that being able to look back and play that quarterback role after the game is over, you can think of other ways you might could have done it better. But I'm proud of the goals being met in an unusual time. I felt the handling of the pandemic, and I know that verdict is out with so many people. I know what went into it. I know what could have happened from it. I know all the crossroads that we were at and how, in most cases, we took the right one. It was hard to get the parents and the teachers and staff on the same page. They both loved the children. They both had wonderful viewpoints. It was just hard to get that, and we have to deal with both groups. So that made it difficult for us. But I think listening, trying to do, and tweaking what we finally see works, people will believe it, and they'll trust you to say, all right, I didn't like this, but they did make it work. And they don't see us do it again. They know we made it work, but with a lot of praying, and we're not going to do it again because we were close, that kind of thing. But I want to salute Julie Canarins for all the work that she did with Amanda on the health protocols and the safety plan. That was a two-woman show. Everybody helped, but those two were all over it. And, of course, Dr. Huggins with the technology rollout, just fantastic rollout. Nobody in the state could touch how that was done. Then to have the support team of Ms. Radcliffe and Ms. Eastep, not only were they involved in those two things, but we told them it was business as usual. You still will do the curriculum. You still will do the instruction. You still have to do. And then we talk about personnel department. How do we tell them that 200 teachers are leaving and there's only 100 to choose from? I mean, how do we make that work? These people are just over the top good. And then we break it down to our coordinators of instruction curriculum, and now we're taxing them with looking at our standards, looking at our curriculum, making sure everything is matching the standards. I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned the workshop, I think I did, about like guidance. That's an area when a parent brought that to our attention. I'll be honest, I didn't agree with it because I didn't know it to be that way. A lot of things appear differently to different people. But no matter how it appears, whether I agree or disagree, I'm still concerned about how it appears. But if you have things lined up the right way, you don't have to worry about how it appears. It's what it is, and people see it, and it's transparent. So we learned from that, and we've been working hard on looking at our guidance program, which is fantastic, but taking some of the wonderful resources and making them Dorchester 2s. Everything we've done well in this district, we've put our brand on it. We have not copied any program in its entirety. Even Read 180, the people will tell you at Hope Mifflin, only our district would take a world-renowned program and change it to meet our needs. But it sings, and other districts call us all the time wanting to know, what did you do to make this work so well? So we hope they'll be calling us about all these other initiatives that we're going to be doing, and we're out kind of ahead of some of these things, and it's just a time where a lot of uncertainty is out there, and people's looking for answers, and unfortunately there are no real concrete answers, and I don't want to give false hope, but I definitely want to make sure people know there's hope. We're positive, and we're looking for the glass as half full. It is not half empty. So that is our approach. Any questions about what I've said, or you have about what we talked about?
In the workshop, it was brought out about what you said, the standards and the curriculum that we do to the standards. Could you just explain that for people that weren't in the workshop, how you, I mean, you kind of did just now, but.
Play it back on the streaming there and let me see what I said.
But you explained it well, and I had that question too initially until you explained it to me. How we have to go to standards, but we create our own curriculum within our district.
We've basically been doing that since I've been superintendent. However, every now and then there's some canned program or something that comes out, and we jump all over it, and we get it out there, and we're all excited. It comes with raves, and we start doing it, and we're seeing it for the overall look at it because we're educators. But then you have a parent with a different set of lenses. They look at it, and it's like, why are they teaching this? Well, because it's part of the program. Well, is it part of the standards? And that's what we're finding. A lot of this is not in our standards, and we should be teaching the standards. And the standards are also developmentally appropriate at certain ages. There's certain topics that could be taught to a certain aged person. Might be all right for an 18-year-old high school student, but it's not okay for an 8-year-old third grader. And I mean, and parents know their kids best, and a lot of this, and I'm a firm believer that there's certain things that's the family's responsibility. Unfortunately, all parents and families aren't able to do that for whatever reason. We have so many children that go untaught, unexplained. But as a school district, we have to be careful not to impose our views, whether they be political or religious or whatever. It's just not. We all know that's not to happen in public school. We're to teach the standards. And we have any questions about it, we ask. We look at lesson plans. We work with teachers in groups. And like I say, the only way I would know it is if a teacher came to me and said, or went to her principal and told the principal, we're in 4th grade and we have one teacher's insisting on doing a particular unit or something that we think is not appropriate, then that principal we hold to that'll work on that. They got a complaint within their own school. The other teachers don't see it, so you know what the parents would feel and what I feel. But then oftentimes we don't get that, and it's a parent may call, but they don't need to call me a year later or 6 months later. They need to get hold of somebody within the day of it or the next day so we can get it while it's fresh. You know, we can talk to the teacher, we can talk to the team if the team is doing it, and get their perspective of why they're teaching it. We don't have to censor anybody. I think our people are very responsible, and I trust them. But like I said, sometimes you get worked up in a classroom setting. It's a teachable moment. A child asks a question, and you're off to the races with your answer. And you feel like you're fulfilling your role as a teacher. We're here to teach. But you can cross the line that we don't need to cross. We got so much to teach. It's impossible to teach all these standards to the level they're intended to be taught. There's just no way we can teach them. And yet again, we're responsible and we're tested on all the standards. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pye, I was going to say something on the same line of what you were saying, is that being a former teacher, I know that a lot of times a teachable moment comes up, and you feel like, well, you know, I need to address it. Also, though, in fairness to support our teachers, I know that a lot of times that you step out of the box and maybe teach something, but I also know, because I've gone through the curriculum before with Dr. Huggins, that I know that there's so much material. If you want to step out the box, it's in the curriculum.
We've got
Dr.
plenty
Huggins
of
has shown me-
unopened boxes, plenty of them that meet the standards, and we can guide you to those.
And so, I mean, you know, and I'm trying to support teachers here by saying, you know, that I understand you wanting to step out the box and do maybe a little diversity, but in support of those parents too, they need to stay on the standards. We're going to stay on the standards, and Mr. Pye has made that very clear to his teachers and to his principals and everybody else, that that's what Dorchester 2 is teaching. Correct, Mr. Pye?
That's correct.
We will stick with the DD2 standards. And the only way we would know different is, like Mr. Pye said,
And our policy, it says we will enforce it.
yeah, and in the
But
policy that we're going to
I'm
second
telling
tonight.
you, nobody can be in every classroom all day, and we shouldn't have to be. We've hired professionals, and we need to let them teach and do their job. We're here to coach. We're here to be there if they need us. So there's enough people to ask questions to. There are math coaches in the schools, there are reading coaches, there are assistant principals, there are guidance counselors, there are principals. Plus, I have a huge district group of instructional people. There's no reason for any question to go unanswered. Just, you know, ask, and you know what? A lot of the stuff would be fine. It's how were you planning to present it? It's not necessarily the topic, it's the presentation of it. And that's only in the individual who's teaching it. And so it may not be in the lesson plans like a teachable moment, and a child gets you off into something, you could find the class in another discussion, and you could be off in where you're not supposed to be or shouldn't be. And you're not teaching, you're not going to be ready when the test comes because there's so much that we have to teach. Did I answer that all right for you?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I had a question too about something I think a parent brought up during the workshop that got me thinking as well about do we have a place, a book or a website or somewhere where you can go to see a description of what a class is and what's taught during that class? Because it got me to thinking, you know, when you see these classes that your children are into, you know, going into, it doesn't necessarily explain what's going to be covered in that class. So,
And I know when we explored controversial courses, when I first became superintendent to the public, such as a Bible course, a religion course, all that. I had to approve the syllabus. We had to take it to the board with the syllabus. We made sure that a controversial subject that could hang us was well intended, but are you teaching other religions? Are you teaching like a history? How are you teaching it? It was all important. And we gave guidance. We did not nix it. The board supported it. We had it. We had no complaints the whole time that I can remember. None.
Well, I'm not even saying, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of these classes that are not controversial, but just, is there a description of them, just so
I'm
you
not
know?
aware of it, no. We follow the descriptions of South Carolina standards. That is our guide.
Right.
And we have pacing guides.
So you could look on the,
Go ahead, Camilla.
We have, year by year, really, a lot of those descriptions stay the same because for years we teach the same courses. So what I do is I work with the team to update course guide descriptions, but I don't think that sounds like what you may want. It sounds like you're wanting more of a syllabus, like a breakdown of units and what's happening.
By unit, they want
That's
unit.
what it sounds like, and you can actually get that from a teacher. That's teacher level, what you're discussing. And we always, they can give you an overview of units and what they will look like and what the breakdown of that will be. Because what you're gonna find in the course guide is a blurb that's a description.
Right.
You're not going to get into the details that you're talking about.
The topics of the chapters of the unit.
right, because I think,
Blurb about what the course is about.
because I think, yes, I mean, it is important to be aware if there are controversial topics, but I also think many parents are just genuinely interested when you see something that your
Where's my
child's
child
taking,
going?
what is this, like, principles of biomedical science? I mean, you don't even know what they're doing, and it's good to be informed and just to know what that is and what's going to be covered.
Brief blurb.
We have that?
What, yes, sir, it is on our website.
Okay.
Right now, what you will see, it says 2021, because as of next week, you're gonna see a brand new one. And as I told you, the descriptions are the same, and I only have to put in new courses every year, because year after year, we're teaching the same courses.
And is that coming,
English 1 is English 1, English 2 is English 2.
right?
Geometry is geometry, they're the same courses. Does that make sense?
Yes, so you're saying there is a description, though, and that's from the state standards, or from our,
So it is
Our philosophy.
it's based on the state standards, but the description is created
by
by
us?
us in-house.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So there's a basic description already on the website, but then if you want more information, specifics about what exactly it entails, you would email the teacher and say, I, nitty-gritty.
But how difficult, Camilla, would it be to have teachers prior to the beginning of school to give that by department? English 1 syllabus would be true of all English 1. I had to
Well,
do that when I
especially now
taught.
with the technology, it seems,
Okay, that doesn't seem too hard.
well, I'm sure most teachers have a syllabus
Oh,
that they're
yes.
going by, so.
And they would work on it as a
to-
group, because we want them doing it as a group,
Right.
so they're teaching
And
similar
so all
stuff.
you're saying is to post
One minute,
that.
Barbara.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Ms. Crosby?
I think all teachers have a general outline of what they're gonna do, so they make sure they finish on time with the pacing guide. So it's just a matter of putting if you're teaching the book, you put down the units you're gonna cover.
Ms. Wimberly, to just give you a clue about why they don't hand out all this stuff, to my opinion, is when Dr. Huggins and I went through, he had one notebook that's like this thick. How many of those books do you have, mister? This, to break down he's got it broken down. Oh, it's broken down. But I'm talking about his notebooks are this thick. There's no way in the world that you could post all that or make syllabuses for all that, for all these children. You see what I'm saying?
You'll also see information
Start
on
typing.
the state website, and we can put that on ours too, about what
Okay.
a typical fourth grade student will learn this year, and then have
Yes.
it broken down by,
Give it out in open house, or
But there's just no way that he
Meet the
could print
teacher.
notebooks and notebooks and notebooks. I mean, they're this thick.
But does that, does that do,
that was a library book maybe, or a teacher? That's a Gate summer book, it was on the Gate list. 7th grade, so was it one of those
But it wasn't a,
Endicott winners or whatever it
We should
was?
be doing this.
Because you can't go by those lists, those books are chosen.
I know,
by all.
I know.
And I hate to tell you,
Mr. Pi,
last year, it was done this summer. I did away with the choir group.
yes, it was.
So that was
Mr.
last
Pi,
year.
And it's not fair to keep asking the teachers to do more and more and more. They have enough on their shoulders. Post it on the website, let the teachers, the parents, everybody see exactly what to expect from our children.
What concept in the book that she brought up was it trying to get across? You tell me, I read it. No, I mean, what was your point? What offended you against your beliefs? What, I heard something loud and clear.
The giver, so, I mean, I agree with that teacher. There is, I mean, that's one of the classics, so, I mean, it's not appropriate context for 7th grade, like, because they might not understand the context, so if they're reading it on their own, without a teacher to explain the context, they don't understand that. But example, my 2nd grader was learning about AIDS, and was reading a book at Pye Elementary that went in detail about gay bathhouses and ANAL sex.
Mr. Pi,
I was like, in 2nd grade. So, you know what I mean? So you
Totally
have-
inappropriate.
Mr.
we
Pi,
have to have something that we can look at.
Mr. Pi, up here, up here. Could you maybe talk with her and the other lady after the
I
meeting?
will. I
So
just-
we could,
I
yeah,
just was
that way,
clarif-
because she
Yeah.
has an individual concern and she, that needs to be addressed. And, that way you can address that.
Well, I was trying to
specific
answer the lady
concern.
that came up that we don't answer, because
Right.
I think it tied here, because she's saying that's great on curriculum, but her concern wasn't as much that as it was our library books and the books that Gates reading and required list, who's filtering those? And I'm asking the same question. Who does choose those? And what's the criteria for choosing them? Because I want to know what standard was in that book. State committees. And if they're one of those organizations that has the winner, it's like you have to buy it. This is the list, and everybody.
And that particular book
And
did.
that's wrong.
That particular book has won a lot of awards,
It's
so
won a lot
that's
of
probably
awards.
why it got put in our library. I know, I'm just saying, I know.
Well, that was the point. So we're past, but that's good. Thank you for bringing that up, and
Yeah.
we heard you, I know the parent right here, last time, and I've been working on that since, and tonight we've heard some other things, and that's the whole point of us having this meeting, as we develop policies that we feel comfortable. We're putting something in place that we can monitor, that we can continue to tweak as we find that we maybe missed the mark on something. We can go back and always add it, but in absence of something, we're not going to have anything but a free-for-all. And we don't want to, we're not into censorship, so I want people to understand that that's not what we're saying. We're into good guidance, simple things that we would want our personal children taught at what stages in their life and by whom. In some cases, if we're talking religion, I want to be the person talking, not the teacher.
And Mr.
Same
Pi,
with politics, I'm the one talking. not
and
the-
Mr. Pi, those are things that we have had discussions, and I think it's important that everyone here in the
Yes.
audience knows, those discussions have been had.
A lot of
Those discussions have been ongoing now for a couple of months, actually. And so we understand your concerns. We have some of the same concerns. There's certain things I don't want my kids to learn from anyone else but me. So, I mean, we know those things, and that is the purpose for everything that's going on now as far as policies are concerned and everything. We're getting a starting place, and we're gonna perfect those, but we have to get a starting place and then work forward from there.
And there's nothing
So-
wrong with someone knowing where these materials are because they're famous and whatever. And if a parent comes to this house, the school, and is inquiring about their child, asking a lot of questions, as a parent, I want to help them, but I don't know how to do it, then I think it's okay to say, there's some literature here that you can check out to get our goal line, and you can get. We're directing them to make the decision of what they want to do with it, and we stay out of it. You know, it's just, we can't get in people's personal lives and solve some things. You don't have a lot of issues if you do. I've been burnt both ways. I did guidance, believe it or not, in my career. And I was trying to be the fixer and the helper of everybody. It doesn't work.
But I do think some of the ones who've expressed concern to you during this conversation probably need maybe a private conversation
Right,
after the
well,
meeting or whatever
I
to
think
try
that
to
the people
resolve
who make
some of
this-
these
These are the
issues.
folks that are monitoring those things, so like Ms. Pinckney and my two assistants, they're over instruction of their areas, Ms.
Hold on
Eastet
just a minute,
and
Barbara.
Ms. Radcliffe.
Barbara.
They're the main
Hold on.
players in this, Ms.
Hold on.
Purvis and Ms.
As-
Dr. Baird.
As policy chairman this year, to maybe put some of your minds at ease a little more, like they're meeting with each curriculum, there are committees right now working with the guidance groups and the librarians. Now, we know that the librarian can't go and read every book in the library, but they're going to go and they're going to be more specific, and we're going to, Mr. Pye's asking them to do more research on that, and that's right now what the group is doing, is going into the books in the library and the required readings and da-da-da-da-da. So feel assured, and you know, that can't be done overnight. And something might pop up, just like sometimes you have things pop up on your computer that you don't want to see. But just know that if it's any comfort to you, that that is in the works. To look at the guidance department and to look at the librarians and the library books and all that. So if that helps any, I hope that.
But also understand that there are going to be some that may slip through the cracks. And if those happen, we're going to depend on the
Somebody to tell
teachers
us.
to tell the principals, or parents to tell the principals or the teachers or the board members, so that we can look at those things, because a lot of those things, the one that was just brought to our attention tonight, we didn't know that book was
I didn't
in
know it.
there.
It
I
might
didn't
have
have a
been there
clue
10
anything
years.
about
How
that
long it's
book.
been there.
So, I mean, we are depending on that, and that's a part of, if it takes all of us to try to raise our children. So thank y'all for bringing those to our attention, but please continue to do that. So,
Okay. Anything else? Thank you for everybody listening.
okay, Mr. Pye is sitting down, I know, but these are his goals from last year. And these goals were presented for a reason. As you all know, board members, this is that time of the year that we all give Mr. Pye his performance review. So that was the purpose of his presentation of the goals, and to show, as it is every year, to show what we've all gotten together and put out that we wanted to happen this year, and for him to show us what the progress was. So saying that, please take note that the next step in this process is for all of you to get in touch with Ms. Smith if you feel that you need to have a conversation with Mr. Pye, and set up a meeting with him individually so that you can have any questions answered regarding his goals or his performance, the reviews that will be coming forward, so that you will have all of that information that you need, because at our next board meeting, normally what we do is at the next board meeting, we would all go into executive session and actually have the discussion about our meetings that we had with Mr. Pye. And, but we're unable to do that at the next meeting because we also have our attorney present during that time to help us with this review process. And she is not going to be available on that day. So we are going to need to do a called meeting. And if you could look at your calendars and find out if you are available for a called meeting on the 30th, which will be that Monday after our next board meeting.
It's another week.
Yes, it'll be an additional week. Our deadline, of course, is the end of August. That'll still keep us within that time frame to be able to, we're going to catch it by the skin of our teeth, but we're going to catch it in there. So a time has not been set yet because I wanted to bring it to you guys first before we did anything as far as, I want to give a couple of times to our attorney. I don't want to just go up there with one time because she has other school districts she's dealing with as well. So first of all, is that day a good day for everyone?
It's a Tuesday, right?
No, it's a Monday.
That's fine with me.
Mr. Farnsworth, are you okay with that date?
Yep, that should be fine.
Okay. All right, so that's, Evan, you good? Okay, all right, so then we will look for a called meeting, and a couple of times, 6 o'clock is one, I know that everybody has said. Would 5 o'clock? Well, but I mean, I want to give her 2 times, because I want to make sure that we don't, so 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock? I don't want to do it at 7, because then we may be in here too late. So, and she has to go all the way back to Columbia, so, okay, 5 or 6. Ms. Smith, if you could maybe just reach out to her and find out if she'll be okay with that. So don't forget, make your phone calls or emails or text messages to Ms. Smith to set up that appointment so that you can have all the information that you need to discuss it on the 30th.
And we're putting these goals on the website as sort of a conclusion of the year. So if you have any questions, you come ask me. You can pull it down from there. If not, if you'll contact Lee, she'll make sure you have a personal copy that you can, reference. And also, this is a good time that if something wasn't on here that you think we should be doing, based on the topics we're hearing and all, that's a good time for you to give your personal one-on-one conversation, and we can talk about it as possibilities of what we can do. And because I'm within about 4 weeks after this meeting, after the thing is concluded, by the end of September, definitely the first week in October, we'll have the new goals that will be presented to the board. So I would like very much, if there's something that needs to be included that's been omitted, or a direction you feel we should be moving into, I'm wide open, and let's bring it on. We can talk about the possibilities, the what-ifs, and usually an idea sparks something totally different that maybe you had in mind that's actually better when we put our heads together and work on it together.
Yeah, and I just want to make one comment on your presentation of your goals. I appreciate you and your team working together to get our reopening plan, as well as some of this other information that parents and teachers are wanting to have on the website, and getting everything out there and then pushing them down to the school websites. And then, of course, here, having the conversation here tonight was also good, because some other board members had brought up that this way we're assured people are going to hear it at our board meeting. They can see it on our website. They can also see it on their school website. Some people never visit the district website. So I appreciate you, just pushing all that stuff down to the individual school websites. And if we could continue to do that with some of this very important information, instead of just putting it on the district website, make sure the school has a section where that they will have that information as well. So thank you for doing that. Anybody have any other questions or comments before we move on to the next thing? Mr. Farnsworth, are you okay?
All good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I think we answered all of our little questions there. Okay, now next on the agenda is the personnel report. Board members, in your package, you should have received the personnel, the recommendations and resignations. Does anyone have a problem with doing those in open session? Nope. Okay, I need a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Crosby. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
6 and 1 absent. Okay, we're on to board committee reports, and the first is the policy committee, and that's Chairwoman Crosby.
Chairwoman, whoa. Gotta be a title. We are presenting the second reading tonight on these policies. IE, Organization of Instruction. IG, Curriculum Development, Adoption, and Review. IA, Instructional Goals and Learning Objectives, Philosophy of Education. ADD, Face Coverings. The only thing I would like to add to that is there are still other policies in the works that we're working on. Well, basically, it's constantly, we always do that. We have to upgrade them and whatever, but some of those more important ones. And please understand that some of the verbiage is selective. without saying certain terms. And, but I think these cover what you wanted to say. So please take the time to read them and go through them, and they're on the website already. Thank you.
Okay, these policies are coming from committee, so I need no second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
6 and 1 absent. Okay, next is the Budget Committee, and I have Mr. Mitchum down, but I think Mr. Farnsworth is actually the vice chair on that. Mr. Farnsworth, do you have anything from the Budget Committee?
We do. Hopefully you can get me up to the speaker there.
Gotcha.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize that I'm not there in person with you guys, but we do have some good stuff coming out of the Budget Committee. This past week, we were able to meet. We met with Tina and some other folks in the district. As the board knows and the district knows, of course, we are always exploring and, looking to ensure quality of life, try to ensure that our pay scales are competitive with other districts and our neighbors, of course. And so one area as a board, as we had looked at our budget earlier this year, excuse me, that's why I'm not here, or I'm not there. One of the items that we had looked at for our budget earlier in the year, that at the time we didn't believe we would be able to put it in place, was looking for a raise for our transportation folks. And so again, anything and anywhere we can help, but all the areas in the district are important. That was certainly an area of focus for us, was the transportation folks. And so working with Tina in the finance office, we were able to find some wiggle room, and what we would like to propose is, and I'll tell you currently what we've got, the base hourly rate for our bus drivers is $14.59. And we found a way to get that increased to $15. So that would be a 41-cent increase to the hourly rate for bus drivers. And we'd like to put that in across the board. So the starting pay would go up by 41 cents, as well as all of the other steps on the bus driver rate schedule would go up 41 cents. Those funds would come from the general fund. I don't know if Tina has anything else to add there, but we are within our means to do that. And again, I know that was a budget priority earlier in the year, and so I hope the board will support that. The Budget Committee certainly did, and bringing that to the board.
Okay, Mr. Farnsworth, Tina is actually coming to the podium, so.
I didn't have anything else to add, honestly. Mr. Farnsworth covered it all. We would increase the base pay to $15 an hour. That was one of the board initiatives that y'all had discussed when we were going through the budget process. Was raising the bus drivers to a minimum of $15 an hour, and we were able to get some state funding to raise them to the $14.59. So it would take just 41 cents more to get them to the $15 an hour.
So it's a total of $1 an hour for the whole year.
Yes, sir.
So it's better than just 41 cents, where people
Correct,
think we just
correct.
picked that out of the clear blue.
Correct. So they had gotten an increase into this new year from the state of the 59 cents, which was actually a 4% increase for them across the board. And then this 41 cents will get them up to $15 for the base, and we would do 41 cents for every step, just as Mr. Farnsworth had said.
Okay.
So it ends up being $1 over last year for an hour.
Okay, again, this is something that is coming from committee, so we need no second on that as well. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
6 and 1 absent. Thank you very much, Mr. Farnsworth. Okay, and we have you up again with the Facilities Committee. He chairs this
You got it.
position.
And this will be pretty quick. We are looking to schedule our walkthrough. I know all the board members are, of course, excited and interested to see the new district office. So we had proposed some dates, potentially next Thursday or Friday, and just wanted to throw those out there to the group to see if either one of those might work better, and then we can schedule with Lee as well as Mr. Souls.
I have a Friday. Does anybody else have a preference?
I'm okay if you can't, whatever's the majority.
The 20th? Yeah, it would be the 20th.
Yeah, the 20th.
That's a Friday. That is Friday okay? Friday okay? Where's Mr. Souls? Friday okay? Friday's good with him, okay? I don't know. Have you got a proposed time, Mr. Farnsworth?
I don't. I think we wanted to nail down the day first, and then we can send out a time. If Tony's there, if he wants to look at a time, or Lee, I don't know if they know of a time that works better on Friday.
Yeah, the suggestion was made to check with the contractor, and along with Mr. Souls, and just make sure everything's coordinated with them, and then you could, I think as long as we've got the day, I think we're probably okay. We'll just notify us of the time. Everybody okay with that? Okay, Friday it is then, so we'll just await to hear from you on the time.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Justin.
Feel better.
Okay, then next on the agenda is public comments. And these are public comments that were not on agenda items. And we are going to begin, same rules apply, but we're going to begin with Kelly Bates.
Prior to me starting real quick, Mr. Pye, I have been contacting your office since April about 7 times to arrange a meeting with you, and I've been continually told that your schedule is very busy, that you might be available in July, and it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed. So it's been since April. I was requesting a one-on-one.
I'm available tomorrow. What time can you be there?
What day is it today? I don't even know what day it is. What day is it? Monday? I will do my very best. I have a 5-year-old that is at home with me, so if I can bring him, game on, but maybe my husband will be home and he can accommodate while working from home. But,
Well, the morning looks pretty good.
what time? 10 a.m.?
10 o'clock.
Let's do it. I have
Great.
some very common sense solutions to some of our issues
Well,
that
that's
I'd
good.
like
I'm
to
sorry
discuss.
you've been not able to see me, but.
Is this
it-
on? Okay.
It can be
It turns on in
arranged.
3 minutes. Okay. Oh, my time's going. Can it start over or no?
Yeah,
Yes,
start
no?
over.
Sorry, I was just.
Go ahead. That was
Okay,
business.
sorry. Today, I just wanted to address my concerns with the program Brain Pop found on all the district computers. This is a program that's not only utilized by teachers for classwork, but students are also given free time to access this program both at school and at home. I don't know if it's still on the computers, this was last year, so just preface it with that. While you just stated to me that at this meeting and the previous meeting that politics have no place in the classroom, this program is filled with leftist and Marxist political ideology. The founder, Dr. Abraham Cater, works in direct correlation with Black Lives Matter, which, as they state for themselves on their website, is a Marxist organization that aims to disrupt and dismantle Western prescribed nuclear families, dismantle cisgender privilege, and foster a queer-affirming belief system. This program teaches lessons through this ideology and worldview and is filled with questionable views in regards to race, history, gender, and sexual identity. They also believe that America is inherently and systemically racist. These lessons are taught through that lens. They believe that our founders should be judged by the standards of today rather than the time that they existed. Many of these issues in this program touch base on extremely political and in an extremely political and biased way that contradicts many views of the parents in your district. I strongly encourage a full and thorough review of this program, and I look forward to a written response addressing the findings, as well as what will be done to remedy this program being on our kids and district devices. So, that's all I have.
Thank you. can't hear you. Next up is Linda Inger.
Thought we did, but I don't know what came out.
Chairman Hughes, school board members, and Mr. Pye, it's been a long time.
It has been.
And the days where I'm the only one addressing you apparently are long behind us, because look at this wonderful group of parents you have out here that care. Education is in free fall thanks to meddling by the Federal Department of Education and the unions. Depending on the month, the U.S. ranks an unimpressive 38th in math and 24th in science out of 71 countries. Those stats are old and maybe even worse today. South Carolina is usually one of the bottom 3 states, and DD2 is not number 1 in the state. One report on Wikipedia says in elementary schools, grades may represent rewards from teachers for being friendly, prepared, compliant, good citizens, well-organized, and hardworking, rather than mastering the subject material, end of quote. Now we're bracing for a forced influx of illegal immigrants, many of whom don't read or write in their own languages, much less ours. You can address this proactively. Plan today to put all of the non-English speaking students in immersion classes for 3 months until they're capable of participating in regular classes. Molly Spearman confirmed that you do have the option to do this. Our research shows that in DD2, our students are spending 45% of their time in some form of guidance counseling and only 35% in academic studies. Parents would be horrified to know this. You need to look at this, and if it's not true, prove it. And in fact, Mr. Pye, when you did your presentation, your second slide was all social issues, but your third slide was academics. I think you have that reversed. And most of all, stop taking federal money. I know that's a crazy idea. I know we've had this conversation, but you could do it. If you do it, then you don't have to put on the programs the federal government demands, and our teachers could teach what they want to teach. You don't have to do all of these social programs. Teachers can spend their times on the academics that they need their time and experience, and they can teach true American history. That's what education is for, not for social issues, including critical race theory or culturally relative teaching or whatever name they want to give it. We can turn this around, but only if you as a board agree that you will do whatever it takes to change our quickly deteriorating educational experience in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Inger. Next up, Christine Childers.
Hi, good evening. I'm here on behalf of my brother, Ken Greenstreet, that can't be here tonight. In the book of Matthew, the Pharisees and the Sadducees asked the Savior of the world, Jesus Christ, for a sign from heaven. He answered and said unto them, when it is evening, you say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but can ye not discern the signs of the times? In a familiar fashion today, we once again have people searching in the dark in false belief that their form of socialism, or in reality, communism, will work. The signs are all around us that their ideas will not work. The signs are in the history books. They are in the voices of living humans who have lived in communist countries and escaped. They truly know the meaning of freedom. The vast majority of Americans do not appreciate freedom because freedom is all they've ever known, and a love of that freedom has not been handed down from generation to generation. The founders of Black Lives Matter are avowed Marxists. They fully support critical race theory. People who have come to America from places of little to no freedom say critical race theory is dangerous. What other signs do you need? American students are not being taught the United States Constitution and American history in enough detail to instill a love of America. Some politician might say it is law that those two be taught, but there is little to follow up. Look at the results. I said this before. Which of you thinks the Antifa movement is good for America? It is not a secret that most college campuses are a cesspool of socialism. A quick Google search shows that 350 different languages are spoken in America, 350 cultures. What makes all of these people Americans? The Constitution. Without it, what are we? From another scripture, it says, "We have learned by sad experience that it is the nature and disposition of almost all men, as soon as they get a little authority, as they suppose, they will immediately begin to exercise unrighteous dominion." Want one more sign? Vaccine passports. Think about historical dictatorship or communist government where police could randomly ask for your identification papers. Not good. Yet some Americans are in favor of that because they are clueless of history. Remember, the Constitution was written to limit the power of the government, not limit the freedom of the people.
Thank you, Ms. Childers. Next up is Philip Hall.
Welcome back for a new year. All right, so yeah, I want to start with just talking about CRT. I know that you all are right now trying to do everything to make sure it is not being taught in our schools. However, if you follow groups on Twitter such as SC for Ed, you literally have teachers on there saying they will teach it, they will get it into our schools. They attack the things that are said by some of the teachers on SC for Ed, which is a far left radical group and has no place in our schools. The things they say about our governor, literally make threats against him, are absolutely unbelievable. And you know what's sad is, just as me and my wife and many others said we would have gave up our line for any teacher that wanted to get the vaccine ahead of us, this same governor, I believe, would protect those same teachers that are attacking him from the state forcing them to get a vaccine that they do not want, just like we would, everybody in this room. I would give my life before me or my child get that vaccine. And if anybody else wants to, that's their choice. So why you said that you are here to guide, support, and we believe teachers, you're also here to hold them accountable if they do, if it is brought into our classroom. Just like last year when our ninth grade English teacher brought in the book, The Hate You Give, which directly attacks police officers in this country. Coming from a law enforcement family and being part of law enforcement military myself, that was a direct attack on me and my family. That book had no place on school grounds, and that teacher should have been held accountable. Also, within the first week of school last year, our kids knew every political, what each teacher was politically, where they fell. That should not happen. Last year, Juneteenth was celebrated. 9/11 wasn't even mentioned. This is our 20th anniversary coming up. And again, that personally hits home to me. I am all for cameras in the classroom. If our police officers have to wear cameras, and every police officer will tell you that it's a good thing because they are protected, then there's no reason our classrooms shouldn't have cameras, or at least audio. It will protect the teacher and the student. There will be no more he said, she said. This is a book called From Crayons to Condoms, written by Dr. Laura, and it gives examples after example of critical race theory, far-left propaganda being taught to our children that have no place in our classrooms. And I honestly believe patriotism needs to be taught to our kids. That's right. We're at an all-time low for patriotism. It starts with our schools. And I bet you if let any parent know that a kid is disrespectful during the national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance, they will hold their child accountable. And I will support that teacher, that chorus teacher, that if the kids are being disrespectful, I'll be at that school supporting them in a heartbeat. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Next up is David Neal and Lynn Loomis.
Yes, my name is David Neal. I spoke to you last time. This time I am relaying a message from Lynn Piper Loomis. On her behalf, Lynn Piper Loomis and we the people are campaigning for U.S. South Carolina 1 House of Representatives to defend, protect, and preserve the U.S. Constitution, Judeo-Christian values, America's soul, and the future generations of this nation. Where are the biohazard bins, hazmat suits, goggles, and etc.? As I have stated before, we the people are against mandatory mask mandates, vaccine mandates, and against inoculation of experimental drugs that are not FDA approved to our children without parental consent. There is a grab for power and resource gain in this district. I say no to communism, socialism, and Marxism. We the people have the majority voice and vote in this nation. Our election was stolen from us, and you continue to be complicit in the actions of allowing a communist regime to rule through an introduction of Hitler ideology or criminal race theory, attempting to silence the voices of our children and their creative minds. You also indoctrinate our children through sex education with materials that host pornography and groom our children for trafficking. The school's role is to educate our students on the U.S. Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance, civility, arithmetic, history, not the 1619 Project, reading and writing. Our unalienable rights have been endowed to us by our Creator. You have created guidelines in your image and believe your power and authority rises from man. You are sadly mistaken. I, Lynn Piper Loomis, represent the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Next up is Martin Boyle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I realize that masks are not required this school year. However, my concern is based on feedback I received from my children that attended Somerville High School last year. And they told me that there was significant teacher and peer pressure to comply with mask wearing, and it was very stressful for them. I know that some school administrators and teachers they felt were overzealous in their singling out of students in the hallways, going between classes, and that sort of thing. And some of them were pulled aside in front of other students and berated. So my concern is that even though the wearing of masks is now optional, I wouldn't want any students to be shamed by anyone if they choose not to wear masks, which is their option now. I expect our DD2 administrators and teachers to be professionals that they are, and not let their personal opinions cloud their judgment, and that they follow the state and district policy as outlined for the 2021 school year. Secondly, September 17th is Constitution Day, and I do not see it on the DD2 calendar. It's mandated by federal regulations saying that schools have to teach the U.S. Constitution. So please put it on your calendar, and I'd like to make sure that it gets taught. And my children last year are both pretty good students and exceptional, in my opinion. And I asked them both, I said, did you have any discussion about U.S. Constitution anywhere in any class at any time? And I wrote to the board about it, and the answer I got was, well, I was sure it was covered. Well, I don't think my daughters are liars, and they're very good students, so I have to trust what they tell me. So, anyway, I'd love to see it put on your agenda and make sure it gets taught. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyle. Okay, that is,
I would like to make a comment that I've been on this board for almost 13 years, was teacher for 30, and I have asked over and over and over that civics be brought back into the high school curriculum. Mr. Pye, I've talked to you about it, and I've talked to several other people about it, and it still has not been done. Not to say that I'm to speak off, I mean, that I make all the decisions, but we know what civics teaches, that it teaches the Constitution, it teaches our laws, it teaches that thing, and the answer I got was, it's included in American history. Well, and I'm not saying that teachers are not teaching American history, that's not where I'm coming from, but I'm going to once again ask, publicly, right here before God and everybody, to please put civics back into our schools.
okay, if no one else has any other comments, that is the end of our meeting, so I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr. Guthrie. Do I have a second?
We don't want to leave. I do.
Ms. Robinson, any discussion? All in favor? 6 and 1 absent. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great evening. Yeah, I had a